It is safe to say that Xbox Game Pass has been absolutely crushing it lately in terms of huge and highly rated new releases. We still have a ton of incredible games still on the way for 2025, and to think we're not even halfway through this year still blows my mind. Today, I'll be covering over 30 Xbox Game Pass games coming your way, and trust me, you'll want to stick around and see the heavy hitters we've got to experience on day one. So with that out of the way, my name is Fletcher, this is Xbox Nation, and here are the insane games coming our way. First up, we have a game that I'm currently reviewing at the moment and is due to arrive at the end of April. Towerborne seems to be an absolute love letter to classics like Castle Crashers, and Stoic Studios have been working wonders during the early access period. The game essentially centers around a tower called the Belfry, where remnants of humanity stay protected from some gruesome monsters that have essentially invaded the land. Your job is to go out either solo or with up to 3 other friends and protect the Belfry and take down the monsters. It has been so much fun from what I've played so far, and you don't have to wait much longer for this beat 'em up experience, as it does land as a day one release on the 29th of April. It's time in May to rip and tear, as one of the largest games of 2025 is exploding its way onto Xbox Game Pass. Doom the Dark Ages looks to take everything that we loved about the rebooted Doom series, but accelerates it all to 11. This time around though, id Software have told us they wanted to take a slow down approach to the Doomslayer to make him feel more like a tank compared to the likes of the fluid movement seen in Doom Eternal. This actually means there's no ammo conservation, and I can thank the Lord for that, and you will be able to go in guns blazing, parrying attacks, timing dodges, and just glory killing to your heart's content. I mentioned this game is coming to Xbox Game Pass day one, and you can even dive in early with the Deluxe Upgrade Edition to actually play it 3 days early. That is one hell of a deal for us to experience a potential masterpiece in the making. Ninja Gaiden 4 was quite easily one of the biggest surprises coming out of the Xbox Developer Direct back in January. Platinum Games, Team Ninja, and Xbox have teamed up yet again to bring us one of the most intense hack and slash games in existence, and so far it looks absolutely stunning. I know many of you have actually been waiting for a new Ninja Gaiden game for many years, and it will be arriving day one sometime later this fall. You can actually expect a new main playable character, a young ninja prodigy called Yakumo, although previous protagonist Ryu does appear in the story. It is also a direct sequel to Ninja Gaiden 3, but set a significant amount of time since the events of that game in a gruesomely transformed Tokyo. Now, the Sifu developers really did shock me when they announced a departure away from their combat style, and instead they're working on a football game. Yes, that's right, Rematch is their next game, and it looks to transform the game that we all know and love with some unique mechanics in a 5v5 online setting. The previews have been swirling around for this game since the launch date got announced for this June, and all previews so far have been incredibly positive for this new launch. This game still really gives me galactic football and Shaolin soccer vibes in the best way possible, and I even got to play it as part of a press preview last month. It is fantastic, the controls are insanely tight, and I can't wait to play more when it comes to Xbox Game Pass as a day one launch title this June. One game that is for all of you who like survival games mixed with something psychological is none other than The Alters. We finally had a release date for this one for this new IP after the last couple of delays, and it's finally coming this June. Your character has the unique ability to create alters in this one, essentially alternate versions of themselves, each embodying a different life path. These alters bring distinct skills and perspective to your own team, helping you solve puzzles, gather resources, and overcome difficulties and environmental hazards. But obviously there's a cost to doing this. The more you rely on your different alters, the greater the psychological strain on your very own character. It looks utterly fantastic from the gameplay and previews, and I'm hoping that the extra time has really polished it into a great experience. Tuati is coming to Xbox Game Pass on the 28th of May, and it's actually the next title from the Katamari Damacy maker himself. Tuati though is described as a 3D narrative adventure with a very strong focus on character, interaction, story, and exploration. In this one though, we'll be taking on the role of a character called Teen, who essentially has a very unique posture as they try to live their life in a small coastal town. There's a giraffe here, and there's also a dog who essentially help Teen with their issues that arrive from their constant T-posing. It looks like an incredibly unique indie title, and the Katamari games have always had that sort of unique but weird flair to them. No doubt this one will bring us some insanely unique mechanics, and we can look forward to it as a day one Xbox Game Pass release. Now, Spray Paint Simulator is very similar in vein to Power Washing Simulator, and it is coming to Xbox Game Pass as a day one release this May. In Spray Paint Simulator, it'll be your job to give a fresh coat of paint to worn out surfaces, and amongst other things like cars, vans, roller coasters, and more. You will also have to manage and build your own spray painting business along the way, which is incredibly similar to the likes of Power Wash Simulator yet again. There is a lot in common here, but the good news is that it also features online co-op support, so you'll be able to enjoy spray painting with a friend on Xbox Game Pass. Abiotic Factor is a survival crafting game with overwhelmingly positive reviews over on Steam, and it is due to come as a day one release onto Xbox Game Pass sometime in 2025. It supports 1 to 6 players and is set in an underground research facility where essentially a paranormal containment failure has turned the entire complex into a battleground. In this one, you must scavenge resources, build your different defenses, and survive against both military forces and supernatural threats. Honestly, I could totally see Abiotic Factor shaping up to be a Game Pass favourite for 2025. The Outer Worlds 2 brings us back to the quirky, satirical sci-fi universe created by Obsidian Entertainment. This time though, players will explore a new colony called Arcadia, known for its advanced skip drive technology. As this is an Obsidian game through and through though, the developers have emphasised player choice, allowing you to shape your character's personality, alliances, and their decisions. Of course, the humour and the witty writing from the first game do return, along with an expanded cast of companions to recruit and customise. Combat, from what we've seen so far, has seen a massive improvement across the board, with brand new weapons, skill trees, and also dynamic encounters. I expect that we'll get a full release date at the Xbox Showcase this June, and I will be reviewing the game, so stay tuned for that. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 is officially rolling into Xbox this summer, bringing a fully rebuilt experience of 2 of the most beloved skating games ever made. This remastered collection features all the iconic levels, skaters, and tricks from the originals, while modernising them with stunning visuals, smoother controls, and new gameplay mechanics. The multiplayer experience has also been expanded with cross-platform support for up to 8 players, and the Creator Park and Creator Skater tools have been enhanced for even greater customization. The original soundtrack does return as well, featuring classic hits alongside some brand new tracks. Whether you're a long-time fan or a newcomer, this honestly is shaping up to be the ultimate skateboarding experience, and it comes to Xbox Game Pass this July. FBC Firebreak is one that is surprising me, and honestly, I still think this could be one of the biggest sleeper multiplayer hits of 2025. This one is set in the same universe as third-person action game Control, but FBC Firebreak sees players working together as part of Firebreak, which are an elite team within the fictional Federal Bureau of Control, and they're responsible for protecting the agency against the most dangerous paranormal threats. The game will feature what's called jobs, which are essentially replayable missions with uniquely designed challenges, objectives, and environments. The gameplay we've seen so far though gave us a glimpse at Paper Chase, which is one such job, where deadly sticky notes have begun replicating at an alarming pace. Everything looks like a lot of fun here, and I'm certainly looking forward to diving into it with my friends when it comes to Xbox Game Pass Day 1 this summer. Next we have Moonlighter 2, The Endless Vault, and it is arriving in 2025 on both the Xbox Series X and S consoles, PC, and of course Day 1 on Game Pass. As the sequel to the beloved action RPG, this title reinvents the life of an adventurer/merchant with this stunning full 3D isometric look. It's set in the quaint village of Tresna, where you'll be balancing the thrill of dungeon crawling with the intricacies of running your own shop. From what we've seen so far, the devs have teased expansive features, from exploring challenging dungeons filled with relics to managing an ever-evolving inventory of weapons, gear, and mystical items. It looks to also be enhanced by new mechanics, some different and diverse biomes, refined combat mechanics, and so much more, and it really does look like that Moonlighter 2 really enriches that original formula with fresh challenges and rewarding surprises. From Annapurna Interactive comes Wheel World, a visually striking indie adventure set in the bustling streets of Freehub City. In this one, you'll take on the role of a young rider who's tasked with providing the so-called ghost bikes, which are magical couriers that travel between the living and the dead. The semi-open world here features atmospheric cityscapes and surreal challenges, really looking to blend exploration, racing, and resource management into one genre. In this one, you must repair and maintain your bike, using it to complete races and skilled contests against spectral rivals. Obviously, winning these sort of races or challenges will gradually restore the ghost bike's power, unraveling the game's mysterious narrative. With its dynamic mechanics, emotional storytelling, and that dreamlike art style, Wheel World is really shaping up to be a standout title in Xbox Game Pass. One game that I'm actually really hyped to see join the service this May is for DREDGE, and this is a huge indie that you need to play right away if you haven't done so already. This Lovecraftian fishing adventure combines chilling horror elements with addictive exploration and resource management. By day, you'll be exploring the mysterious archipelago, upgrading your boat, and haul in some deep sea catches. By night though, the horrors leaking beneath the waves do awaken, forcing you to navigate dangerous waters and unravel an ominous mystery. That mix of relaxing daytime gameplay and intense night terrors makes it such a gripping and a one-of-a-kind experience. If there's one indie game that you need to try in 2025, it really is Dredge, and it comes to Xbox Game Pass on the 6th of May. So, a game that actually got revealed at the Switch 2 Direct is also coming day one onto Xbox Game Pass, and it's called Witchbrook. Now, I'm actually a long-time fan of games like Stardew Valley, and to be honest, the life sim genre in general. I've been following Chucklefish's upcoming Magic School RPGs for many years now, and I could hardly believe where I was finally seeing in action at this presentation. To give you a bit of an overview, you'll be making some friends in this game, finding some romance amidst a cast of characters, and spending time between different classes by foraging in deep woodland, and that's just a few aspects that the game has to offer. The game will also feature up to 4-player online co-op, allowing you to craft your own unique stories and experience Witch Academia together. If you love Stardew Valley, then you're absolutely going to love this one, and it comes day one onto the service in winter 2025. This next game is one that I know many of you have actually been waiting to hear some more news on for quite some time, and that is none other than Dead Static Drive. If you're unfamiliar, this is an indie survival horror game following a nightmarish road trip across 1980s Americana, and ultimately the art style and unique premise has already sold me on this title. At its core though, this is a survival game, and Dead Static Drive will see us needing to scavenge, fight, sneak, and explore in order to stop the continuing violence of an estranged father. The developers have actually described Dead Static Drive as Grand Theft Cthulhu, in this attempt to marry hijacking vehicles on the open road with spooky horror themes. It looks totally awesome, and we finally have a release window. It is still some while away, but it will be coming to Xbox Game Pass in the later half of 2025. Before we dive into the remaining games today, do make sure to subscribe for more Xbox content like this every single day. Over 75% of you are not subscribed, and to be honest, I would love to see you join the fastest growing Xbox community here on YouTube. If you want to see upcoming reviews on Doom, The Outer Worlds, and so much more, then don't miss out, as it is free to click that button. Now, let's get back into the remaining games coming to Xbox Game Pass in 2025. Lost in Random: The Eternal Die is an upcoming roguelike action-adventure game that takes place in the bizarre and ever-changing world of Random. The developers have actually described it as a journey through dark, unpredictable realms, where a living die holds the power to shape your destiny. This sequel looks to dive deeper into the universe of Random though, introducing us to new challenges and surprises, and a world where the environment and situations will shift with every step. In this game though, we'll be able to step into the shoes of Queen Alexandra, a once powerful ruler, now on the quest for revenge and redemption. The world here is designed to be visually striking and filled with tons of unexpected twists, where every roll of that die can actually open up new paths and present some new dangers. Frostpunk 2 is finally making its way to both the Xbox Series consoles this summer, bringing another brutal city building survival challenge to Xbox Game Pass. Set 30 years after the original, players will lead a desperate society into a frozen world where managing dwindling resources and keeping people alive is really tougher than ever. The sequel will introduce rival factions, allowing us to negotiate, form alliances, or crush the opposition. And 11-bit studios have confirmed that a major update on the 8th of May will tweak city building mechanics and improve the citizen AI behaviors. The game has had some superb reviews from critics and gamers alike since its PC launch, so no doubt Frostpunk 2 is set to be one of the best survival strategy games on Xbox Game Pass later this year. If you like games like Life is Strange and are a fan of Bloom and Rage, then you will absolutely need to keep your eye on Mixtape when it comes to day one onto Xbox Game Pass sometime in 2025. If you're wondering what happens in Mixtape, essentially 3 friends decide to go on one last adventure together in their last party night of high school, and they decide what better way to spend it than reminisce about all the memories that they made from the previous year while bumping into a curated playlist of different songs. It is still quite unclear at the moment what kind of gameplay experience Mixtape will actually be, but I have no doubt this will be an interactive story-driven action-adventure experience that will center around the characters and their interactions with other people and their environment. This is obviously all set within a gorgeous new art style, which seems to be very intriguing, and I'll be excited to see where the developers take us with this hairy narrative experience sometime later this year. The alien seas are calling once again. In Subnautica 2, you'll return to the depths, but this time you don't have to face the mysteries alone. This brand new sequel will introduce co-op multiplayer, allowing us to dive into the vibrant oceans of an alien world with our co-op partner. With expanded biomes ranging from glowing coral reefs to dark, terrifying trenches, this game is as breathtaking as it is nerve-wracking. There seem to be improved base building mechanics, which means that you can design sprawling underwater sanctuaries to shelter from the planet's new dangers. And trust me, there looks like there's going to be plenty of those in this newest entry. Subnautica 2 doesn't look to just build on its predecessor though, it's looking to redefine cooperative underwater survival. It launches into Xbox Game Preview for Game Pass in 2025, and this will be a dive that you won't want to miss. If you like indies, then we're getting a charming snow-coated open world in Winter Burrow later this year. This is touted as a cozy woodland survival game where we'll take control of a tiny mouse which is adventuring through brisk environments as you search for your lost auntie. This one looks to merge comfy, cozy game elements though with challenging yet approachable survival mechanics, and that's a pretty unique take on this genre. In this one though, you will be spending your time in your burrow, crafting cute decorations to make your surroundings feel homely, knit cozy clothing to stay warm in the cold weather, and also make sure you're prepared for those big days out of foraging in the forests. Again, this one is coming to Game Pass as a day one release, and although it's not my sort of bag, you'll have to let me know if you're going to dive into this one when it arrives on the service. This year, we will finally step into the dark and tumultuous land of Shu in WUCHANG Fallen Feathers. This Souls-like action RPG launches day one on Xbox Series X and S consoles and immerses us in the dark late Ming Dynasty, and it's a period that's rife with warring factions and a mysterious illness turning humans into monstrous creatures. In this one, we take control of WUCHANG, a pirate warrior who's struck by amnesia and afflicted by oranthropy, a horrific disease but the source of some immense power. As you explore the depths of Shu though, we'll be able to enhance that arsenal, master some new skills harvested from fallen foes, and so much more. Of course, as you expect, you will be battling some pretty grotesque abominations, drawing on ancient lore to challenge the creeping darkness that threatens the humanity that remains in this world. It looks like a fantastic experience for Souls-like fans, and I cannot wait for it to launch day one into the service. Buckshot Roulette transforms the classic game of Russian roulette into a haunting high-stakes tabletop strategy experience where gambling your life is taken very literally. This grim title introduces a shotgun and a host of extra dastardly rules to up the ante, creating a nerve-wracking environment that has already captivated PC players for many months now. It's finally heading to Xbox and Game Pass later this year and will feature a multiplayer mode for 2 to 4 players, actually letting you and your friends test your luck and courage in a deadly contest of chance. With its very unique premise and electrifying multiplayer mayhem, Buckshot Roulette really promises to keep you on edge as you navigate its dark and unforgetting challenges. No More Robots is providing us with Descenders Next on Xbox Game Pass, and although it was delayed out of its April release date, it is still coming in 2025. When Descenders Next launches though, it will begin life with a focus on boarding sports. You will have to learn and conquer the snowy caps through tight, effortless snowboarding action, before taking to the highlands with the grittier feel of mountain boarding. Each of these sports will feel and handle completely differently to each other, meaning you will have to learn to tackle and master every nook and cranny of the entire game. The developers have also promised more sports being added for free on a constant basis, and this game really is looking to challenge others in the same space, such as Riders Republic. I will update you as soon as we get another fixed release date sometime later this year. We have almost all the Far Cry games on Xbox Game Pass, and really it was only a matter of time before we saw more Far Cry games coming to the service. Far Cry 4 will join Game Pass for all tiers on the 30th of April. This one though takes place in the towering Himalayas, and specifically in a place named Krat, where you're essentially travelling there to fulfill your mother's dying wish. In typical Far Cry fashion though, things never go as planned, and you find yourself caught up in a civil war to overthrow the oppressive regime of dictator Pagan Min. Of course, this still has all the typical Ubisoft tropes, like outpost capturing, cache layers about, and so much more, but the real highlight for Far Cry 4 though was Pagan Min himself, and also the breadth of scope within the world in terms of its verticality and its beauty. It's still one that I really did love upon its launch, and I will heavily recommend it when it lands on the service. After many months of waiting, we are finally seeing another Call of Duty title coming to Xbox Game Pass, and that is none other than Modern Warfare 2. Now, in terms of Modern Warfare reboots since the 2019 version, Modern Warfare 2 is certainly the most mixed in the franchise, and I know many really didn't like the multiplayer offering. However, the story in this game is pretty good still, and a very welcome follow-up to the incredible reboot back in 2019. Of course, the campaign will follow the ragtag team of Soap, Captain Price and Ghost, and many others, in some intense and explosive combat. You have the multiplayer, which even though is not the most high regarded, is still fairly popular, and then you also have the special ops missions if you want to go into some co-op. It does arrive onto Xbox Game Pass this May, so it's well worth trying it out if you haven't done so already. Now, Hollow Knight Silksong has to be the most highly anticipated sequel to the critically acclaimed Hollow Knight, and to be honest, I know that we've been waiting months, if not years at this point, for some brand new news. In this one, you'll be able to explore a vast, beautiful world filled with deadly enemies and hidden secrets, but this time we'll take on the role of Hornet, a brand new protagonist with new unique abilities and different combat skills. The game will feature challenging combat like the original, so the same intricate platforming we know and love, and also deep lore that expands the Hollow Knight universe. Silksong really does promise to be an epic Metroidvania experience that fans will really love, and we are ready to delve into the darkness, uncover the mysteries of this enchanting world when it is still coming to Xbox Game Pass in 2025. It's not quite clear at the moment when Voidtrain might arrive, but this open world survival game is set to come to Xbox Game Preview via Game Pass sometime this year. We did have a rough Q1 date a little while ago, but that date range has come and gone, so no doubt this one will either come in Q3 or Q4 later this year. Voidtrain is already out on early access on Steam though, and the game puts you in the position of an engineer working aboard an interdimensional express train steaming through the void, which is a vast ever-changing world full of mysteries and unique places. Whilst building, customizing and upgrading your own train, you'll be making weapons, taking on different enemies in PvE and PvP combat, and exploring floating islands with puzzles and dangerous fauna. To be honest, it looks great, and I just hope we see the release of this game on Xbox very soon, but if you want to see a preview of it, just let me know down below. Who hasn't dreamed of being a pigeon causing chaos in a city? Pigeon Simulator is exactly what it sounds like, a comedic open world sandbox where you're a time-travelling pigeon aiming to prevent a dystopian goose uprising. In this game though, you'll be flying around town, scavenging for food and causing some mayhem, from dive-bombing pedestrians to knocking over trash cans. What sets Pigeon Simulator apart though is its humour and unpredictability. Every item you eat could give you strange powers, from mind control to summoning swarms of other pigeons. This sounds utterly insane, and you'll be flitting between different versions of this city as you try to thwart the evil Goose Lord's plans. It is coming to Xbox Game Pass sometime in 2025, and it looks chaotic and ridiculous. Manor actually arrived earlier last year onto PC Game Pass and was a massive hit upon its release. Manor though is described as a medieval strategy game featuring in-depth city building, large-scale tactical battles, and complex economic and social simulations. Amazingly, this one was actually a brainchild of just a single developer. And I mentioned back in late 2023, it was mentioned that an Xbox version would be coming shortly after the PC launch. However, we didn't actually see the release of the Xbox version in 2024, but the developer has made us aware that it will be coming in 2025. I know many of us are still waiting for this highly anticipated Xbox version, and the developers have made us aware that this is a key focus for their team. I can't wait to see this one come to Xbox consoles, and you have to let me know if you can't wait for it down in the comments below. So what game are you looking forward to or want to see on Xbox Game Pass? Let me know down below. Make sure to like this video if you enjoyed, and subscribe for more Xbox content like this every single day. Whilst here though, why don't you check out the video on screen now of the top 15 new Xbox and Game Pass games coming to us this May.